Our region's business is sponsored by PNC for the Achiever in You.
Here's a year to keep an eye on, 2020, the end of the decade, just 6 years away. Why is it important? Well, 2020 is the year the midpoint of the baby boom generation, the folks born in 1955, turns 65. Yep. Half the boomers will be retirement age, with the other half closing in fast. And if you're doing business in a region like ours, where the population and the workforce skews older than the national average, means you're going to have to scare up a whole lot of young people pretty fast to replace them. And that means you may have more than a hiring challenge. You may have a cultural challenge as well, getting multiple generations to work effectively together. Meagan Johnson's co-written a book about it, Generations, Inc., and she's the daughter part of a father-daughter team who run the Johnson Training Group. And welcome. Good to have you in Pittsburgh.
Thank you. I'm trying to warm up.
Okay, well, I guess you're coming from Arizona. It's got to be an adjustment.
Yeah, I'm adjusting.
All I can promise you is it's not as bad as it has been. So you brought some, at least, fair weather with you. Yeah, the book and this whole issue of generations seems to be really top of mind, certainly here in our region, but I guess across the country these days.
Yeah, companies, big, small, are experiencing this sort of similar challenge. Is you have people that are 30 years old, a little bit younger, coming into the workforce. How do you get them interested in your company? And then once you got them on board, how do you keep them there? Because there's no stigma with job hopping.
Well, and that's the thing you mentioned in the book. That's certainly what you call them, what, the traditionalists, the sort of the World War II generation, yeah. And even the baby boomers are a lot more in a mindset, man, if I work for a company, I'm going to be there for a long time. No longer the case.
No. Well, you think about the recession that happened during the late 80s, early 90s, following the black, we call it Black Monday, yeah. in 87. Prior to that recession, lifetime employment was still the cultural norm in our country. You still had that idea of, hey, I'll start with one company, I'll stick with that company, and I definitely won't change industries. After that recession, there was a mind shift. And now younger generations, they really perceive themselves as a commodity. And it's my job to make sure that the experience I have at your company better prepares me for my next job down the line.
Wow. Yeah, very different. We have a chart I want to show because we probably should define the generations we're talking about, and I love this. I found it in the book, and here it is. This is how it breaks down, and you can see the World War II kind of generation, the traditionals there, and then obviously the big baby boom. I'm struck by the Gen Xers. There are not many of you.
There's not many of us. We are a rare breed, the Gen Xers, and that's just because the birth rate began to fall during right after about 65. The job market opened up for women. The Vietnam War hit. The pill became available. And those three, which I call generational signposts in my book, those three signposts forced the birth rate to fall, hit an all-time low in 1975, and just pretty much stagnated till 1980. And that's where you got Generation X.
So, and then the consequences of that is you're getting to the point now where the baby boomers are closing in on retirement. You normally would expect that next generation to be in position to take over, and there's nobody standing down the hallway.
Yeah, there's just not enough. And I always like to joke with baby boomers because baby boomers, they just think they're indestructible. They're going to be in the workforce forever. You know, they think they're just going to keep Botoxing themselves back in.
Don't trust anyone over 30, even though we're long past it. You're still holding on to that thought, right? Yeah.
But baby boomers are you're eventually going to leave. And it's essential that baby boomers take that, I call it product knowledge, technology knowledge, skill knowledge, and most important, people knowledge, and they make sure that information gets passed on to the younger, less experienced people on your team sooner rather than later.
Well, and yeah, we put the chart back up maybe because that means you almost have to skip a generation or many organizations in terms of leadership, because you're going to have to go beyond the Xers and right to this Gen Y generation.
Yes, right? Yeah, and Gen Y, we need to prepare them.
And they're big.
Yeah,
I mean, that looks like, what, that's almost as big as the baby boomers.
Well, you know, the thing is, baby boomers, baby boomers are parents to Generation X and Generation Y. So baby boomers, you know, made one more last rush at it and had a whole crop of Gen Y kids. But Gen Yers, we need to prepare them for taking on management roles, leadership roles, and in roles where they'll be making decisions that maybe their experience level won't prepare them for. So baby boomers really need to help bring them up to speed.
I hear some tension, though, because it's often, I hear a lot among baby boom generations, oh, those young people today, they don't want to pay their dues. They want the corner office right away. Sounds to me, though, like it's just a reality. We're going to have to grease the wheels to get them closer to the corner office faster.
Yes. And you know, the best part is they may not even want a corner office. They just might want to have their office down at the coffee shop.
Okay.
So, you know, that's okay too. But that's okay. I always point out in my programs that the litmus test when baby boomers or even Gen Xers are feeling uncomfortable with Gen Yers and their behavior, a little litmus test is, hey, ask yourself, is the Gen Yers' behavior, is it negatively impacting cost, quality, safety, or service? And because I think sometimes we get our feathers ruffled because Generation Y is doing something different. And Generation Y has a whole different set of tools and skills that are available to them that were not available to Gen Xers or baby boomers. So they're going to use them to advance their careers. And I think sometimes we're a little bit taken back by that.
Okay.
And so ask yourself, hey, is what they're suggesting, is it really going to have a negative impact? And if the answer is no, then the baby boomer and the Gen Xer needs to challenge their own assumptions of the way the job should be done.
Learn to be a little less rigid as you get older and a little more open to some of the new ideas and new way of doing things.
Which is not, that's not easy to do. I mean, I like to pride myself that I'm very flexible, but even with my staff, I find myself sometimes getting, no, this is because of the way we've always done it.
We can all relate. Well, it's a great book and something I think everybody needs to be thinking about because the baby boomers are not getting younger. So it's called Generations Inc. Do you have a website or any place else?
You do. You can go to my website, meaganjohnson.com. It's right there. You can go to all the other fantastic booksellers online and get it there too.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
It. Yeah.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah. And we'll be back in a minute with a little bit of dollars and cents. Stay with us.